Hey, my name is Ryan, and today we're going to look at 4 different boots in 4 dramatically different price ranges, and we're going to answer the question, what do you really get for your money? Thanks for clicking on the video, and I hope you enjoy. The reason why I'm making this video is because each one of these boots is in my rotation. Doesn't matter how much I pay for a boot. If I like it, if I like the way it looks on my feet, I'm going to use it. If I don't, I get rid of it. Now, these 3 have made the cut. So I really want to find out what you're getting for each price range so you know what's the best price range for you to start out. And what I'll do is I'll go through each boot and talk about them, kind of dissect what you're getting for them. And at the end, we'll do an overview of the boot. Now, the first boot we'll be talking about is my Clark's Bushacre 3 boot. Now, this boot is an affordable boot, and it's kind of the best entry-level boot. I know in the Goodyear welted market, we talk about Thursdays being the best entry level, but this is the one that kind of got me started with leather boots. Even though I wouldn't quite say these are super high quality, but there definitely is a place for these. So if you go on to Amazon right now, you can buy these online. The 13s like I have are $68 on sale. They're normally run though around $100, I would say. That's the best comparison there. But they're a nice boot, a lot of synthetic materials, but a great entry-level boot. And really these will last if you know how to use them. So a couple of things with my boots that are different. I use these boots on a work day that I have specifically where I need to take my shoes off a couple of times. So it's about twice a month. So it's not like these are a workhorse, but twice a month I am going into a place that's been cleaned, and so I take my shoes off. And because of the Chukka style, it makes it easy. I even bought these stretchable laces so they slip right on and off. I can do it while standing. And so they have a place in my rotation, and they'll last a long time because of it. But really the boot is full of synthetics. So the leather is a less expensive leather. The boot's made in India. So I kind of wonder sometimes too if it is a, is it a cow leather or is it buffalo leather? You might know that in India the cow is deified, so a lot of the leather coming out of there is buffalo. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's fine. You have a synthetic sole, synthetic, almost cardboard-like midsole. It's a stitch-down construction, which is super interesting, right? What I love to see is someone buy these for the stitch-down Thunderdome, right? I don't know if that's ever happened before. Some Clarks for their Thunderdome, and see how these age over time. But that's really what I'm going to get to right now, is how these age over time. I've seen these age poorly. It is a pull-up leather, as you might be able to see. Try to zoom in there for you. But what happens is it just creases a lot. And I've actually, this is my second pair of these, and the first pair, it just doesn't last forever. So my opinion on this boot is if you're going to wear it every day, you're only going to get probably 6 months to a year out of it. If it's part of your rotation, yeah, it'll last several years, but it's not a resolable boot. It's a throwaway boot. So you have to think about that. You are saving money, but when it does wear out in a year, you just buy another one. So the cost per wear is not the best with this type of throwaway boot. Especially if you're into Goodyear welted heritage boots. This might not be your favorite boot to start with, but it is a nice boot if you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your boot purchasing future, right? Whatever that means. And it will last a good amount of time. It's comfortable-ish. It's not like there's no leather, footbed, anything like that. So it does take a while to break in, and probably right when you break these in, on the downhill side of the shoe, so you're gonna have to replace. So that's something to think about it. I like them. Quick thing I wanted to mention is the tongue is not gusseted at all. So right at this point is where it folds in, but I never have had a problem with the tongue staying to the left or right, but dirt will get in if you use these for any type of work. Next, let's talk about that $200 price range. Now, most people who do a video like this, when they talk about the $200 price range, they're going to go to Thursday boots. And I've had 4 pairs of Thursday boots. I really like Thursday boots, but they're not my favorite boot at that $200 price range. And what I like at that $200 price range is Luosjiet. So Luosjiet is a relatively new company. They're coming out with a lot of styles and designs. Their parent company is the XBX boot company, so they're a really high-end boot company hailing out of China. So this is a Chinese through and through company, and it's made in China, so take what you will for that. But they're just really solid boots. And what I love about Luosjiet boots is that you get a thick veg tan insole. So for that $200 range, now you're getting more for your money. You're getting a Goodyear welted boot, which can be resolable. So now as you break in the leather, you can just put a new sole on it and just have that really cool patina that you personally have developed. And because of that leather insole, your footprint will stay there through many resoling. So this boot is really one of the best value boots for your money. And that makes sense. It is made in China, but it's made out of a lot of good materials. We didn't talk about the hardware in the last one because the hardware was just a couple of eyelets in the Clark's boot, but really nice hardware. This is where you really want to start if you're talking about heritage footwear. And again, Thursday too. They're great boots for that entry level. But entry level is used a lot, and this is what these would be considered, but they're amazing, Thursday included, entry level or not. If you want to have 3 pairs of boots for the price of 1 Viberg or something, get yourself 3 pair of entry level boots. They're going to last a long time if you take care of them and you have a rotation. So that's just my opinion, but I especially love Luosjiet because of that insole. So I have a lot of videos on this particular boot. This boot started my YouTube career, so to speak. So go check those out where I dive deep into those. What you're not getting in this $200 boot is, and it's going for $239 right now, but there are models they have on their website for $200 that have the leather insole. But what you're really not getting with the Luosjiet boot is knowing about the leathers. So kind of the same with the Clarks. We don't know what tanneries those are coming from. You're not getting a lot of information on the leather. So if you're a leather snob, this boot won't satisfy your itch or scratch that itch that you have. But if you just want a really pretty boot, this boot is gorgeous. It's my favorite boot design is the Alden Indy. And I don't even know if they are the ones who originally came up with the design. I saw one patent of what looked exactly like an Indy boot, and it was an Alden. So is this copying Alden? Who really knows who it's originally copying? That's a side tangent, sorry. But I think it's a gorgeous boot, really nicely done. Doesn't have the midsole, so you don't have all the super high-end quality components that the next level is going to have, but a great boot at a great price. One of the other downsides to the Luosjiet, and I'm comparing this now to Thursday boot, is the return policy. It's really not that great. I think you have to pay quite a bit. So it almost doesn't have a return policy. It does, but you would be out, I think, $80 if you needed to return these. So that's another thing. These are a little bit more of a gamble. And with any gamble, you get a little bit more if it works out. You get a little less if it doesn't. So awesome boot. Love this boot. Couldn't recommend it anymore. Please see other videos that I have regarding it. We'll talk about the gusseting. This is not a gusseted tongue. The original Indiana Indy boots aren't gusseted, so this is the same, but I have no problems with it moving left to right. It sits in there nice and tight. When it comes to it slipping to the left or the right, I've had one boot, and that was a Thursday Diplomat boot, that would never stay. It just wouldn't stay, and it was super uncomfortable. I ended up getting rid of the boots. Now I have another pair of Thursday Diplomats that it's not gusseted like this, and it doesn't move. I don't know what that is, if it has to do with the break-in process or what, but that's what you're gonna get with the Indiana Jones boot from Luosjiet. So dirt and debris will get in fairly easy. The Grant Stone boots. I've had 3 pairs of Grant Stone boots, and now this is where everything's coming together. So Grant Stone boots are in that $400 price range, and they're worth every bit of it. But Grant Stones is an American company, but made in China. So there's that. But all the shortcomings of the Luosjiet are basically fixed with Grant Stone. So better materials, so you have now a leather midsole. This is a leather soled shoe, but you have a leather midsole now. You have that same leather insole, and you have great leather. So if you're a leather nerd, you can go on Grant Stone and you can find all sorts of beautiful leather. This is their veg tan, saddle tan leather, which is from the Battlelassie tannery. So I mean, you're getting reputable tanneries. They have a lot of I've had 2 Grant Stones in their Dune Chrome Excel, which is a natural Chrome Excel, which is one of my favorite leathers ever. And so you're really stepping up. Now you're paying $400 for this, but really you're getting a boot that's worth, in my opinion, if you just add the components, the how well it's made, you're getting a boot that's in that about $200 more than you're actually paying for. And that's because what I really compare these to are my Alden. So I've had 2 pairs of Alden boots, and these are like Alden Plus to me. The shape of them is very reminiscent of Alden's, and the quality and how it's put together, the lining leather, all feels very much like Alden's. And so those are going for crazy prices now. And they're worth it too. I love Alden boots, and I'm not putting them down at all. But for bang for your buck, this is it. I mean, Grant Stones is really producing an amazing boot value. You're going to get everything you need out of this boot. There isn't any downside. If there is, it's a personal thing, and for me, it's an aesthetic issue, and that's with these eyelets. They're just, I don't know, they just don't look super attractive to me. Now, that's not worth me not getting the boot, but it's just something to note. It's not the most attractive eyelet. The hardware is actually a little bit better in the Luosjiet boot, believe it or not. It's a stronger hardware, but you're getting a gusseted tongue up to the 3rd eyelet, so a lot more protection from debris. You're getting just a beautiful boot, beautifully stitched. This boot will last forever if you take care of it. This is a hot take, but to me, the biggest competition to a Grant Stone boot is a Viberg, and those are double the price. Now, a Viberg that has a Goodyear welt, which some do, Vibergs are a stitch down, double stitch down, that takes a little bit more effort, so it's not a true comparison. But if you're talking about throwing the best quality components into a shoe, it's this and Viberg, really, in my opinion. There's some middle grounds, like we're going to jump to the whites, but a middle ground would be Truman boots, great boot, but really just an amazing boot for the money. Can't say anything negative about the Grant Stone, except it's not made in the USA, but what you're getting with this boot, it is just stunning. By the way, there will be a link to each of these boots. It's not an affiliate link, so I'm not getting paid to say anything about these boots. Of course, I only have 300 subscribers. Why would they pay me? But still, these are my honest opinions. And now we're going to honestly talk about the tank of a boot that you can buy. Now, this one, as of filming, is $720. This is the White's MP-Sherman. This is a beast of a boot and a grail boot for most people. So what do you really get here? Well, with the MP-Sherman, the leathers are basically the same as you get with the Grant Stone. So there's not a huge difference there. It may be a little bit thicker because this has a little bit more of a work boot heritage aesthetic, which you're going to love or you're going to hate. A Grant Stone, the last tier, does a lot better in an office building, while this one does a little bit better on a job site or at the bar. But what you're getting with this boot is 2 things. You're getting a ton of leather, just a ton of leather. You're standing on what feels like a brick of leather when you first buy these. And so you've got to break that in, but a lot of guys love that. They want to break it in, they want to go through the fire, walk through the fire, so to speak, so they have a super comfortable boot for years to come. These will last for years if they're taken care of. And the other main thing you really get out of the White's MP-Sherman is the handwork done in the USA. So these are made in the United States, in Washington, and the company is actually owned by a Japanese company, I believe, but that's here or there. But they're made in the US, and someone is hand stitching the bottoms on these shoes, and it is not easy. It's going through a lot of thick layers of leather. So that's really one of the big things you're paying for. You can actually get a CMP Sherman, which has a little bit lesser of a quality of leather, and I really don't know how much lesser of a quality it is because it comes from Seidel's tannery instead of this one coming from Horween's tannery there in Chicago. Seidel, of course, being from Milwaukee. And their double shot is like Horween's Chrome Excel, so it's not as expensive as of a leather. Who knows if it's not as good. Horween is my favorite tannery. I have a lot of Horween shell cordovan, and I just think that is the best leather ever made, and I really love their natural Chrome Excel, so they're just kind of my favorite tannery, if you could have a favorite tannery. So you do get that with the MP-Sherman. The CMP-Sherman, you get to save a little bit of money, but you don't have that handwork. You're getting amazing arch support with this boot. Out of these boots that I've gone over, the arch support isn't that great. But with this one it is. You get a huge thick veg tan counter. The Grant Stones have a veg tan counter too though, and just a ton of natural materials. These take a long time to break in. These would have been perfect when I was running a carpentry shop, because these are more of a work boot style. They're just an awesome handmade boot coming from the US. So you're paying a lot for that hand stitched aspect of the boot. It made in the USA, the nice leathers that you can get from it, and the fact that it will be around for forever. My main downside to these boots, resolability. So it's not something you can just take to any cobbler and get them resoled like you could with the Grant Stone and with the Luosjiet Indiana Jones boots. This, if you have a great cobbler, there's things that they can do, but it's going to be expensive. So I mean, you're really committing to a higher priced shoe and higher priced maintenance when it comes to taking care of these whites for a long time. So that's my speed round on the boots. Let me tell you what my take is of each one of them. I love each one of these boots, and I have a place in my rotation and in my heart for them. Now, that sounds ridiculous, but the reality is that heritage style footwear, nice footwear, any type of footwear from the first Converse you had, you've got to love it, right? There's something about it that's going to make you into it. So for some people, that's the sneaker market. I don't get that. There's not a love there for the sneaker market for me, but I get that they love it, and so they're willing to pay the prices for it. I love each one of these boots. Now, the best value boots are coming in right here, and that's your made in China boots. And we're not going to get into that right now, but you just get so much for the value. So if you have $200, this is the boot to buy. If you have $380 or so, the Grant Stone is the boot to buy. This is the great entry-level boot, and this is the boot for the boot snob, the boot aficionado, so to speak. This is one of my least worn boots, if you believe it or not. I just don't use it a ton. It doesn't work with my lifestyle, but sitting in my closet, it's just gorgeous. So I haven't gotten rid of these. I think they're amazing boots. It's done so well. I love the made in Spokane, Washington aspect of it, but you're going to have to love this boot to pay that type of money for the boot. They're all really good shoes. If you maintain them, these three can last forever. This one, it just won't. What do you expect? Let me know if you have any question about these boots. I forgot to talk about the gusset of the white, so I'll just do that right now. It's gusseted up to the 4th eyelet, so the best with keeping debris out, which makes sense because it's a work boot, really. It's the work boot heritage. And well, thank you so much for watching my rambling on these boots. These are my favorite boots at these price ranges. I have no affiliation with these boots, but if you have any questions about them, specific questions, I'll try to get to them. If you just have a comment on the video, I really appreciate that. Please like and subscribe. Have a great one, and I'll see you on the next video.